The Tennessee football team is going to win at least 9 games in 2023. Saw some totals put out there last week. Looking at the schedule here today. Here on March 23rd, I'm convinced Tennessee will win at least 9 games in the regular season in 2023. That's a Sweet 16 preview and a whole lot more here on your Thursday Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Thursday, everybody. Happy game day, everybody, and welcome into it. This is Locked On Vols. I'm your host, Eric Kane. You can always follow me on Twitter @_Kaner and the show on Twitter @LockedOnVols. Appreciate you guys making Locked On Vols your first listen wherever you find your podcast and your first watch on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. That is Locked On Vols on YouTube. Really appreciate the support there. It's a fun time here on Rocky Top. You got spring practice that is up and going, and it's been going since Monday, and now we've seen a couple of different practices, and I've been kind of describing and telling you guys what I've seen, what I'm hearing here on the podcast in regards to Tennessee spring football, and I'll continue to do that over the next couple of weeks. Tennessee in the Sweet 16, boy, FAU, that game's coming up tonight at 9 o'clock. It's going to be on TBS. Really looking forward to that. And, Lady Vols in the Sweet 16. Recruiting never stops. Fun time happening right here. And we're talking about it on Locked On Vols. We got Grant Ramey coming up in segment number 2. He's he's in New York reporting on Tennessee for VolQuest on 3 Network. We're going to have Grant Ramey join the show in segment 2. You're going to get your full Tennessee and FAU preview in segment number 3. But first, let's talk a little win totals for Tennessee. Saw a graphic that On3 put out regarding a FanDuel futures bets for 2023 football season, and it has Tennessee at 8.5 wins. And so I looked at it, and I went to the source at FanDuel.com, and the one I see right now is 9.5. And so that looks a little bit more accurate, in my opinion, for Tennessee regular season wins. The 9.5 is at plus 146. The over 9.5 is at 146 plus. The under is at minus 188. And so, again, I think that's more realistic because in the article, and again, it probably changed, it's listing Tennessee at 8.5. And so it kind of got me thinking, and I pulled up the schedule, and I kind of went through week 1, week 2, week 3, win, loss, whatever it is. And I continued, and again, guys, it's March 23rd. Spring practice is 3 practices in right now. Fall camp's not here. There's another window, the transfer portal. There's a lot to be said before Tennessee kicks off against Virginia here to begin the 2023 season. So let me make that abundantly clear. But here on March 23rd, I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay, Tennessee's at least got 9 wins. And let's kind of do this exercise together, right? Well, first, let me read what they say about Tennessee. Again, this is an article posted last week on some future bets, college football win totals from On3. It says the Volunteers took the nation by storm as Josh Heupel's high-powered passing offense worked to perfection with quarterback Hendon Hooker pulling the strings. Joe Milton is the favorite to take over. Can he have the same high-level success that Hooker did and make the Volunteers equally dangerous this fall? I mean, that's the question. It always starts at the quarterback position, right? I mean, Hendon Hooker was a Heisman finalist in literally everybody's eyes, except the committee, I guess. So it's like, what's going on? He was phenomenal. He operated this system in 2 years just so flawlessly. I don't have the numbers pulled up in front of me, but I want to say like he had a combined maybe 5 interceptions in 2 years. Just phenomenal, right? He's going to be a higher draft pick in this year's NFL draft. Might not be first round, but he'll be one of the first 4 or 5 quarterbacks selected, in my opinion, because I think he's kind of the dark horse because he's hurt right now, and there's a lot of intrigue there for Hendon Hooker. But nonetheless, you got to replace him, and that's going to be critical. So, of course, Joe Milton, you feel good about him because he's a veteran. He's experienced. He looks like an NFL quarterback already. He's got a cannon of an arm, but that doesn't mean he's going to be Hendon Hooker. He's going to be Joe Milton, and he'll have his shortcomings. He'll have his limitations, but he'll also do some things that are really well. Can he consistently do that and stack those week on week on week? And if he can, Tennessee's going to be in good position to get to 9 wins easily, in my opinion. But, of course, there's other question marks. Who are those offensive linemen going to step in and fill in the gaps for Jerome Carvin, and more importantly, Darnell Wright? I say more importantly. It's just a tackle position is a little bit more severe, in my opinion, than the guard, because a lot of times you're on an island. But nonetheless, what about that? Can the secondary take a step? A lot of, Dante Thornton, where is he going to be playing for Tennessee? There's a lot of questions to be answered, but I sit here and I look at this schedule and I pulled it up, and again, don't hold me to it. This is not quoting. We're not marketed in Sharpie right now, but I'm sitting here and I'm like, all right, Virginia, that can be a win. Austin Peay, that's going to be a win. Florida at Florida, I think that can be a win, and I understand winning against Florida. Tennessee hasn't done that a whole lot lately. Did this past season, but winning at Florida, it's going to be tough. I understand that, but the more and more I look at it, especially at the position they're in at quarterback, I like Tennessee in that one. UTSA is not going to be a gimme, but it'll be a win. South Carolina is going to be a challenge, but that's a winnable game at home. You got the off week, then you have A&M at home. That's a winnable football game, in my opinion. At Alabama, it's going to be tough as always. Is Ty Simpson the quarterback? I don't believe it's going to be Milroe. I really don't. What's Alabama look like in 2023? It's a winnable football game, of course. At Kentucky will be a challenge, especially if you get Leary, transfer quarterback is it Will Leary? No, it's Will Levis. Whatever Leary's first name is, I forgot his name, but he was phenomenal in 2021 at NC State. If in 23 at Kentucky, if he can channel into his 21 self at NC State, Kentucky's going to be a challenge, but that's going to be a winnable game at Kentucky. UConn, win. At Missouri, win. Georgia will be a challenging game at home. But what does Georgia look like now with a new quarterback? Vanderbilt should be a win. So, again, that's a lot of wins I'm just kind of throwing out there. And I know I said winnable game, because, again, I don't want to make season-long predictions right now. But, I mean, look at these guaranteed losses. I don't want to call them guaranteed losses, because I think I'm at a point now to where with Tennessee, nothing is guaranteed, if that makes sense. That doesn't mean they're going to win every game. But, I mean, going to Alabama, that's not a guaranteed loss anymore. And a lot of that had to do with just proving that you can beat Alabama. And Tennessee did do that this past season. Again, Alabama's going to be good. They just brought in a hell of a recruiting class. They're great at the line of scrimmage. They rush the passer, even though they're losing, some key guys in that phrase or in that area of the game. But they're going to be under a new quarterback. And like Tennessee, with Hendon Hooker, I feel much better about having Joe Milton on my side than Ty Simpson right now. Ty Simpson's a guy that's never played. Milroe, we saw a little bit, but he was not that good. What's Alabama going to look like? That is a win. That's not a guaranteed loss anymore. Georgia, it's not a guaranteed loss, but again, like if I'm picking today, you stack recruiting class over recruiting class over recruiting class. You get that roster where you want to be if you're Kirby Smart. And sure, you've had Stetson Bennett that's won you 2 national championships, and that's awesome if you're a Georgia fan. But you're replacing Stetson Bennett with a quarterback, whether it's Beck, whether it's Vandergriff, whether it's, whoever. They've got like 5 in that room that is significantly better in terms of a talent perspective. And so, in a lot of cases, athletically, from a sheer quarterback position, you might be upgrading from Stetson Bennett. So, I mean, I'm not going to say Georgia's going to be a loss right now, but that game's going to be tough. But again, it is a winnable football game. A&M's kind of the same way. Sure, they super disappointed in 2022. Overall, they disappoint. They underachieve with Jimbo Fisher. Where are they at the quarterback position? But and I know they've lost some via the transfer portal a lot the past 2 off seasons, but they do have a roster that can compete with anybody. It's just a matter of, can they win? Here lately, they haven't won. It's not going to be a gimme. That's a winnable football game. And again, I mentioned Florida. I like Tennessee's chance against Florida simply because I think Florida's quarterback sucks. I do. I think he sucks. Graham Mertz, is that his name? From Wisconsin. I do not think that he's good whatsoever. And then you have South Carolina. South Carolina lost a lot through the portal, but they do return a lot of key pieces. And Spencer Rattler, who played like the 2020 Spencer Rattler the last 2 games of the season against Tennessee and Clemson. That's going to be a ginormous, big time football game. Talked a little bit about it on the mailbag, I believe. Someone asked about kind of what I think that environment's going to be like. I don't like Shane Beamer. I don't think a lot of you guys like Shane Beamer. I don't think Josh Heupel, he would never say this publicly, but I don't think Josh Heupel's a fan of Shane Beamer. I don't think Shane Beamer's a fan of Josh Heupel. It's going to be a big time football game, and quite frankly, they whooped you. They beat that A last season. So that's a winnable football game. That's a game Tennessee should win, in my opinion, but we're going to have to see. So I'm just sitting here and I'm like, okay, Tennessee can at least get 9 wins. When I star some of the big-time football games, Georgia's going to be a big-time football game. I think at Kentucky will be a big game. Alabama's obviously going to be a big game. That South Carolina is going to be a big game. At Florida will be a big game. And then I also start Virginia because we know football teams, if you're a good football team, you get better every single week. And who you are in week 1 or 2 might not be who you are in week 12 or 13 or championship Saturday or heading to the playoffs or the bowl game or whatever. What does Tennessee look like in week 1, and can they overcome those deficiencies? Can they hold it together enough to get a win over Virginia that is not great, but it's good enough where it can beat you if you're in figure it out mode? So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. But again, all those games I mentioned, Virginia, Florida, South Carolina, A&M, Kentucky, Alabama, Georgia, like, you're not going to win all those games, but you're not going to lose all those games. I think Tennessee, out of 12 regular season games, I think Tennessee can win 9 games in 2023. What say you? Maybe we'll have a better understanding, a better picture of that season for Tennessee, but that win total, 8.5, I think Tennessee can go over at 9. I checked it again today, and it says 9.5. I think that's about right. I think Tennessee can win 9 games in 2023, maybe more. What say you? We'll talk about it right here on Locked On Vols. Grant Ramey coming up next to preview Tennessee in the Big Apple for the Sweet 16 against FAU. That game's coming up tonight at 9 o'clock for a chance to advance on to only the second Elite Eight appearance ever in the program's history. That is coming up next right here on Locked On Vols. Guys, the tournament, it's heating up right now. We're at the heart of it. Tennessee trying to make this run last as long as it possibly can. There's no better time to download FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book, because new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to point scores, even three-pointers drained. You can bet on the spread, the total, money line, all that good stuff. You can do individual player props such as points, rebounds, assists, fouls, whatever you guys want. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets at a chance at a bigger payout with same-game parlays. So let me tell you how to do it. Don't miss your chance, and you won't have to miss your chance on no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. I did it today. I'm going to do it tonight. You should do it as well, especially with some big games coming up starting tonight. That is FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, guys, welcome back into it. Locked On Vols here on a Thursday. It is game day for the University of Tennessee. Tennessee, the 4 seed, taking on Florida Atlantic, the 9 seed in the Sweet 16, the 9th ever appearance for Tennessee in the Sweet 16. Tennessee is the favorite. Tennessee is the favorite in this matchup, but let me tell you, Florida Atlantic is a good basketball team. I had a chance earlier today to catch up with Grant Ramey, my colleague at VolQuest.com, does an awesome job. He is in the Big Apple. He is in New York City. He was in Madison Square Garden, and I had a chance to catch up with him, record a little preview for this game. I do want to go ahead and apologize a little bit. There was a lot going on around Grant, a lot of noise, some background noise at times, so I do apologize. If you're in the car and you got the speakers going, maybe turn it down a little bit. But good stuff from Grant. Listen to it. Overall, it's really, really good quality-wise, and obviously Grant is phenomenal getting you ready for this game. It is Tennessee and FAU, my conversation with Grant Ramey. Heading into this matchup, Tennessee and FAU, what do we need to know about the Owls coming up later for tonight?
Guard heavy, a lot of scoring depth in this rotation, a very deep rotation of guards. They have a 7'1" Russian center, but he's not the centerpiece by no stretch of the imagination. They're going to shoot a lot of 3 balls. They got a ton of guys on this roster that have shot 100 or more. I think 6 of them have shot 100 or more threes this year. There's another guy that shot like 90, so that's the neighborhood that they're in. That's the number of times they're going to shoot it. It's a really good offense. It's a really good defense, too. They're 36th nationally in defense adjusted efficiency. They're 30th in offense, so they're a third team that gets it done on both ends of the floor. They're not a huge team, one of the shortest teams in America. Tennessee's going to have the size advantage, physicality advantage. It's just going to be a question of how Tennessee defends the perimeter, how Tennessee sets the tone defensively early, how many scoring droughts Tennessee goes through, how many scoring droughts they can force. These are 2 of the best teams in terms of 10-0 runs in college basketball. So it's really going to be who has the most answers, who can get the most consistent stops, as it is just about in any game this time of year.
Grant, when I was doing some research on Florida Atlantic, they've shot 952 three-pointers. Tennessee, of course, is the #1 defensive team in the country in terms of defending the three-point line. But not having Sakai Ziegler, obviously that's going to not help Tennessee's chances in a matchup like this.
No, and you're chasing so many guards around, and he's a guy that the physical condition that he was in, the type of defense he played at the top of your defense, kind of the tip of the spear on that end of the floor. Not having him hurt you, but you also have Santiago Vescovi, who's a very underrated defender who does a ton on that end of the floor. He can run all night. You got Josiah, Jordan James, you got Julian Phillips, you've got Jemai Mashak, probably arguably one of the best perimeter defenders in college basketball in the SEC. You have size and inside guys that can defend Tobe Owaka. Jonas Adu is one of the best interior defenders in the SEC. So you got some size inside, and you got guys on the perimeter that can chase these guards around. So Tennessee has the personnel to match up. It's just a matter of how great or how well can you execute consistently early on and do it for 40 minutes.
Grant, you continue to say like Tennessee's the bigger team, and the way Tennessee plays basketball, and especially the way Tennessee played basketball against Duke, the physicality. Is that something Tennessee's going to really try to show out the first couple of minutes of the game, prove it's the more physical team, and kind of set that tone?
100%. Tennessee wants to not only set the tone, but they want to play at their pace. They want to control the pace in this game. They want to dictate the pace. They want to kind of dictate the stakes early on. I don't know if Uroš Plasic is going to push somebody down the first 2 minutes and get a couple quick early fouls, but they are going to set that same kind of physical tone. They're going to try to keep you under 60 points. That's where they win. I think they've won 22 of their 25 games this year by keeping opponents under 60 points. That's kind of the marker that they're trying to keep you under. And to do that, they play physical, they play aggressive on the defensive end, and they're going to have to take advantage of that. They're going to have to take advantage of the size inside and win the rebounding battle in a big way, control the glass. They're going to have to force turnovers, and they're going to have to limit turnovers. But yes, 100% physicality, aggression on the defensive end, slow it down, and run your tempo and dictate your pace of play.
One of the other storylines of this game that fans really don't care about, but I think is interesting, of course, you have Danny White here at Tennessee. His brother, Mike White's the head coach at Georgia. Father, Danny White, longtime AD at Duke, who Tennessee just beats in the round of 32. And now the athletic director for FAU is Brian White, who is the brother of Danny and Mike White. There's a lot of White heritage in this East region for the Volunteers in this journey to hopefully the second program Elite Eight.
There is, and I think if you're Brian White, it's a sign that you know how to hire a good basketball coach. Danny White's hired good basketball coaches. You can look at his track record. Obviously, their father at Duke, the success they had there, you weren't ever trying to hire a basketball coach, but obviously that's a blue blood basketball program that had a ton of success. And here you are. Yeah, not only did you beat Duke in the round of 32, but now you're matched up against FAU of all people. Your brother is the athletic director on the other side of that. I'm sure the conversations have been interesting because you don't have to cut off the line of communication when you're the two ADs, as maybe you would if it's your brother coaching against a brother, or two players on the opposite sides here that might be related or something like that. So to be a kind of a fly on the wall for some of those conversations would be very interesting.
For Tennessee's defense, I mean, obviously it's going up against an offense that likes to run and gun, shoot threes. It averages 78 points per game. Tennessee's got the number one scoring defense, or number one adjusted defense in the country per Ken Palm. Again, without Sakai, what else does Tennessee need to do defensively to try to limit and try to take FAU out of its own game plan?
Just don't let FAU get any space, basically. Tennessee's really tough on ball screens, fighting through ball screens, getting around those screens, and making those screens ineffective. I think that's something that's going to have to happen consistently in this game. You can't let FAU get space to get those shots off. They got guys that Rick Barnes has talked about, a quick release guy. It doesn't take much for them to catch it and shoot it. They don't need much space. And Tennessee has been good about that, about getting out on the perimeter, pushing those perimeter guys out farther than they want to be, and staying hugged up on them at all times. I think the spacing defensively you have to eliminate, and if Tennessee can do that, it's a really good place to start on the defensive end.
All right, so FAU, it's won 33 games this year, Conference USA regular season tournament champions. They're on a 9-game win streak right now. I understand it's a mid-major. I understand it's not Power 5. People haven't heard about FAU. And so for Tennessee, kind of, obviously not with the players, but maybe everybody else going into it, they've been stubbed in the NCAA tournament so many times by lower seeds. This is a quality opponent. This is a really, really good opponent. So kind of what should the mindset be for everybody else going into this game where Tennessee is going to be favored to win, it should win. It's the bigger team. But again, this is a really good opponent. This isn't just your typical Cinderella. It's not a double-digit seed, but it is a team that you should beat.
I mean, probably deserve better than a 9 seed, honestly. I think they're a better basketball team than a 9 seed because that 8-9 matchup is usually pretty rough because the second round, you're probably looking at a number 1 seed. And obviously, that didn't happen this time around, but it felt like going in that FAU deserved better. They were the 25th ranked team in the country. The last time the AP poll was updated, Tennessee was 20th. KenPom has this team at number 21 overall. So this team's no joke. It's mid-major in name only, for sure. This team, if you're sitting on 33 wins, entering the Sweet 16, you're a good basketball team that knows what you want to do, how you want to do it, and you've been able to consistently do it. So it's a mid-major, sure, but it's a mid-major in name only because I think Tennessee respects this team and knows what they can do, and I think Rick Barnes and his staff are going to hammer it into their heads that Tennessee is the underdog. They're the team with 10 losses. They're the team that they're not sniffing 33 wins. They're the team that maybe from a Power 5 conference and the bigger name and the bigger roster. But you better enter this with that underdog mentality, that chip on your shoulder, play with that same type of intensity and aggression that you played with against Duke, because that's why they played so well, because they had all that stuff in their head.
All right, man, last question. And again, you can go a number of different routes with this answer, and I asked you this before, but Tennessee's pick to click. This guy has got to perform well for Tennessee or the Volunteers are going home.
I think Josiah, because he didn't shoot it particularly well against Duke. Credit to Josiah. He had 7 points. He had 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals, something like that. So he did affect the game in a lot of different ways, even though he did not shoot it well. He hit that 3 early in the second half. He scored later in the paint. Those were big buckets in the second half. So he found a way to impact the game. But if you go back to that Ole Miss game to open the SEC tournament, the way he shot it, really from start to finish in that one, I think he scored 20, 21 points, something like that. So if he's doing that, if he's producing at that level, you know what you're going to get out of Santi night in and night out. Somebody down low will have to contribute. There'll have to be other guys involved, Jemai Meshach on the wing maybe. But if Joe's that guy that can get back to scoring 18, 20 points a game, on top of some of the production you can get on the other end and the defensive brand of basketball this team wants to play, and we saw them play against Duke, I think Joe would be my X factor.
Awesome stuff there from Grant Ramey. Tennessee and Florida Atlantic getting going tonight, 9 o'clock. You can watch that game on TBS. Okay, so when we come back, I'm going to give you the official preview. If you haven't read up on it yet, if you continue to put it off, but you need to know who Florida Atlantic is before Tennessee plays them tonight at 9 o'clock. I'm going to give you that preview, a detailed preview on who the Owls are. It's a very good team. That's coming up next right here on Locked On Vols. All right, guys, we got a final segment left here on this Thursday edition of Locked On Vols. It is game day. Tennessee in the Sweet 16, the 4 seed against the 9 seed, the Volunteers against the Owls of Florida Atlantic University. Had a lot of media on Wednesday from Madison Square Garden. Head coach at FAU, Dusty May, who is the Conference USA Coach of the Year, mind you. He did have that comment about we're going to study up on Australian rugby rules, all that. We talked about it here on the show. He came back and on Wednesday and said, hey, I was meaning that as a compliment. Physicality, Rick Barnes is a legend, all that type of stuff. He had a lot of good things to say about Tennessee, and that's smart. I understand FAU's playing with house money here, but as a 9 seed, but still, you don't want to poke the bear, right? But he was very complimentary of Tennessee, its brand of basketball. Rick Barnes, again, calling him a legend. So it should be a really, really good game. That's coming up tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern time at Madison Square Garden. You can watch it on TBS. The winner of this game moves on to the Elite Eight and will take on the winner of 3-seeded Kansas State or 7th-seeded Michigan State. So, some good basketball ahead for sure. All right, Tennessee is 25-10 on the year. This is the 9th Sweet 16 appearance in program history. It is the first since 2018-19 season when Tennessee fell to Purdue. Man, that was a heartbreaker. Remember the 3 from the corner, Lamonte Turner. Did he get hand? Did he get body? Whatever, the foul, sent to the line, and Purdue took advantage and went on to the Elite Eight. First Sweet 16 appearance from that season. This is the second one under Rick Barnes. By the way, Tennessee's 25 wins on the year. 4th time Tennessee's accomplished that under Rick Barnes. Pretty neat there. FAU, 33-3 on the year. Conference USA regular season and tournament champions. The Owls are on a 9-game win streak. They beat the 8-seeded Memphis Tigers in round 1 and took down Farley Dickinson, the 16th seed, in the round of 32. Remember, Tennessee was going to await the winner of a 9-seed and 16 seed regardless, but it was the 9-seed FAU that held on, took down Farley Dickinson. and ruined that Cinderella run. Previously, Farley Dickinson took down Purdue in the round of 64. FAU's a good ball club, all right? They are a really good ball club. You don't win 30-plus games, conference tournament championships, and make it to the Sweet 16 if you are not a good ball club. Someone was jumping in the YouTube comments a couple of days ago and was like, don't talk down about FAU. They're a good team. I agree with you. They are a good team. That doesn't excuse the fact that Tennessee has the serious size advantage here, and Tennessee is much better overall, top to bottom from an athletic standpoint. Tennessee's the much better defensive team. Tennessee should win this game, but again, it's not going to be a rollover. It's not going to be easy. FAU is a good ball club. They finished number 13. Here's some proof on that. FAU finished 13 in the net rankings. Tennessee, in comparison, Tennessee finished number 4 in the net rankings. You've got FAU that is currently number 22 in KenPom. Number 22 in KenPom. Quad 1 games, FAU is 2-1. Quad 2 games, FAU is 4-2. And then, of course, because they're a mid-major, only mid-major in name, though, but they play a ton of Quad 3 and 4 games. They were 23-0 in Quad 3 and 4 games. But in Quad 1 and 2 games, 6-3 overall, 2-1 in Quad 1 games. It's a good ball club, all right? FAU coach Dusty May, the Conference USA Coach of the Year. And there are 3 players that Tennessee's going to have to be on the lookout for on the offensive end. All 3 players received all Conference USA honors. 2 guards, all 3 of these guys I'm going to mention are all sophomores, by the way, so the future's bright. 2 guards, one being John L. Davis, 13.9 points per game, 5.4 rebounds per game. The other guard, sophomore guard, Elijah Martin, 13.1 points per game, 5.3 rebounds per game. Those 2 guys named first team all Conference USA selections. So John L. Davis, Elijah Martin are going to be running all over the place trying to get some shots up. The 7-foot center, and I believe I'm going to say his name right, but don't hold me to it, okay? You guys know me in words. Vladislav Golden. Vladislav Golden, sophomore center, 7-footer, 10.4 points per game, 6.4 rebounds per game. He was a third-team selection to the All-Conference USA team. Those 3 guys, Tennessee is going to have to do their best to get in front of, slow down in this fast-paced offense for FAU. I'll hold that for last. FAU, in the adjusted offensive efficiency ratings, they are 21st or 29th in the country. They score 78 points per game. They make 46% of their shots they take. They have attempted 952 three-pointers. They shoot a ton of three-pointers. They've made 36% of those three-pointers. They shoot at the line 71%. So let's compare that a little bit. Well, first, let me tell you this. 952 three-point shot attempts in the country on the season. That's one of the top few in the country. Tennessee is obviously the best defense in the country per KenPom, but also it's the best defense in the country in defending the three-point line. However, Tennessee does not have Zakai Ziegler, as we spoke on with Grant. I think that's going to be a key storyline in this game. So how will Tennessee guard the perimeter without Zakai Ziegler? I think that's going to be a big-time storyline in this matchup. So when you look at Tennessee, its adjusted offensive efficiency is 60. So 29-60, advantage FAU. Adjusted defensive efficiency, number 1, whereas FAU's is 34th. FAU's a very well-rounded ball club, but Tennessee might be a little lagging on the offensive end in comparison, but a much better defensive team. Tennessee has shot 817 three-pointers compared to the 952 from the Owls. Tennessee makes 33% of its three-pointers compared to the 36% by the Owls. And again, the Owls and the Vols both shoot 71% from the charity stripe. So that's not great. Not great at all, but at least it's not as bad as the matchup against Louisiana, right? Tennessee, 71 points per game. FAU, 78 points per game. Tennessee shoots 43% from the field offensively. FAU shoots 46% from the field offensively. And I love this storyline here. And I know this has no really effect in the game, but I just think this is so neat. So Danny White is Tennessee's athletic director. Mike White is Georgia's head basketball coach, formerly of Florida, but Georgia's head basketball coach, right? Their father is Kevin White, the longtime former Duke athletic director, and Danny's other brother is named Brian, and he is the athletic director of Florida Atlantic. So you've got one Power 5 head basketball coach, you got two, You got one Power 5 athletic director, one mid-major athletic director, and then the father was the longtime athletic director at an ACC dominant school in Duke. Man, what a powerful family, right? And of course, Duke played Tennessee in the second round. Now Tennessee is playing FAU. It's a lot of white family heritage here in this East region. I feel like that's really, really neat. But nonetheless, Tennessee trying to advance to only its second Elite Eight appearance ever. Back in 2010, Tennessee took down Ohio State in the Sweet 16, moved on to the Elite Eight, and fell to Michigan State. Can Tennessee make its second Elite Eight appearance ever with a win over Florida Atlantic here in the Sweet 16? We will find out tonight. 40 minutes will tell the tale. 9 o'clock Eastern Time, TBS, and we will recap it all right here on a Friday Locked On Vols, man. We are getting amped up and ready. Should be a fun show. That is coming up tomorrow here on Locked On Vols. Make Locked On College Basketball your second listen. It is March Madness. It is the perfect time to make Locked On College Basketball your second listen right behind Locked On Vols. Guys, gals, appreciate it as always. Thank you so much. Same time, same place. We'll try to get tomorrow. This is Locked On Vols.